back. It's time to turn our attention to our New Yorker of the Week. Tonight we honor a comedian who's using humor and tragedy to make sure New York City pets are given the medical care they deserve. Take a look. Harris Bloom makes people laugh. But what drives him to comedy is not a laughing matter.
Stewie was my first dog. We were playing in Riverside Park, and he sort of strayed a little bit further from me than he usually does. And I remember getting a little concerned when I yelled at him again to come. He bolted. And by the time I got up to the Riverside Drive, he was in the middle of the street. He was hit by a car.
Stewie died from his injuries. When Harris was ready to own another dog, he experienced the city's animal shelter system for the first time.
The more I found out about, the city shelter system, the more I was both saddened and, I guess, outraged. Sure enough, the shelter, more often than not, will just euthanize the pet because they're so crowded as it is. They're not going to spend the money to vet the animal if they're just going to, have no room for it or have it sit in a cage. Motivated by the needs of these animals seeking homes, Harris decided to help. In 2010, he founded Stewie to the Rescue. Using his love of stand-up comedy, Harris raises money to help low-income pet owners pay for medical care.
I call him the Jon Stewart of animal politics. He highlights the insanity of the system, and he gets people's attention.
The money raised goes toward affordable animal care, like this mobile pet van that travels through the 5 boroughs.
Harris's support has enabled us to basically not pass an animal by for a lack of funding. Well, we see about 30 to 40 people per day. We do everything on the truck. It's a full service: digital x-rays, echocardiograms, ultrasounds, orthopedic surgeries.
To me, he's family. Going to a regular vet, sometimes it's just cost prohibitive, which is why a lot of people just dump them at the shelter. Here, at least with the vet van, it's affordable, it's cost effective for us.
And so, for using his sense of humor to provide a healthy future for animals, Harris Bloom is our New Yorker of the Week. And joining me now in the studio is Harris Bloom, our New Yorker of the Week. Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So how much money have you raised doing this? Is there a dollar amount, or is it just a matter of getting out there and giving your time and spreading the word?
Well, part of it's spreading the word and everything, but for my own organization, we've only been around for a couple of years. I've raised maybe $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 for myself, as well as for other organizations about the same. And I also do comedy shows around the tri-state area for other organizations where I've raised 6 figures.
Wow. So tell us more about that first experience for you entering the animal shelter.
It was depressing. It was depressing. It's a pretty dismal shelter, quite frankly. And I went there to foster a dog, which I got from Dakota Love Rescue. It was about to be euthanized. And the dog was supposed to be a senior dog that was very calm, and as it turns out, the behavior rating was totally off. This dog was a maniac. Of course, I wasn't going to let this dog be euthanized, so my wife and I did foster the dog, and eventually we became what's called failed fosters and adopted the dog.
So what sparked the outrage and the decision to do something about what you saw?
Well, I think, a little knowledge can be a dangerous thing. And the more I looked into the situation, I was told by people, including the person who runs Dakota Love, Christina, about the conditions and the euthanasia rates and the horrible conditions the animals live in the shelters. And I just decided I had to do something, especially with what happened to Stewie, and I was feeling that I wanted to help other animals.
We got a statement from the Animal Care and Control Center in advance of this interview, and it defends itself, saying, we've taken more than 30,000 animals each year, strays, owners, surrenders, victims of animal cruelty. We're committed to finding loving homes for as many of them as possible, and they want people to come along and volunteer and adopt and foster and donate, and they encourage others to do the same like you do. It's a big system. Tell us about what this mobile van does and what these other outreach programs are doing that the animal shelter, in your opinion, can't do.
Well, first of all, the animal shelter should be doing a lot of these things, but they don't even have a medical director on staff. They haven't had one since February of 2010, which is kind of ridiculous to me. But what the mobile van does is they basically prevent a lot of surrenders to the shelter by allowing people who don't have the funds to get cheap medical care for their pets. People wait for hours. You know, it's first come, first serve. And, you know, I know in the summer they're busy till, 12, 1 in the morning. They
What are
literally
some of the
stay out there.
pressing needs? What are some of the things that are common that the animals need?
A lot of it is just shots, or it could be, illnesses like Giardia, various dog ailments. A lot of animals, they'll swallow something. Cats will swallow items, and it gets caught. And, they're not going to the bathroom, or they're not eating. And they might need surgery and stuff. And, a lot of people just can't afford it these days.
Somebody in the piece said that you're like their family member. What sort of reaction do you get from people who are benefiting from your generosity?
We get obviously very positive feedback. A lot of people, like I said, they won't be able to afford medical care, and they would have to surrender their pet to the shelter, which oftentimes they'd be euthanized. So we think we're kind of a special rescue in that we're not only helping the animal, but we are helping, obviously, the people who own the animals.
You tell jokes. There doesn't appear to be any humor in mistreated or sick animals. How do you reconcile that as a professional with a big heart?
Well, I don't tell jokes about the sick animals.
Okay. Well, that's the good thing.
I keep that out of my act. But I do, there's still humor, obviously, in anything, whether it be animals, children. I have a child, too, so I tell a lot of jokes about that, too. But there's always humor to be had in most situations.
Harris Bloom, thanks for doing what you're doing, and thanks for being our New Yorker of the Week this week.
Thank you very much.
If you'd like to help out, you can go online to stewieToTheRescue.org. And as always, if you know someone who would make a good New Yorker of the Week, email us at nyer@ny1.com or send us a letter. Address it to New York One News, New Yorker of the Week. We're at 75 9th Avenue on the 6th floor, New York, New York 10011. I'm John Schumer. We're off Monday for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I'll talk with you Tuesday.